Finding myself in Brighton. It was a simply casual date. It was my fifth day in Brighton, England, and because I was so excited to get to know more about this wonderful city, I rented a bike to get around. That morning, I thought it would be a great idea to go to school riding a bike and not taking the bus per usual. So that's how it all started. I took my phone and put the directions in Google Maps and began my journey. At the beginning, I felt so nervous. I had never ridden a bike in a public street with cars. However, I fortunately made it to the school safely with no problems. I was so happy to get to the school without being roadkill. Nevertheless, my minimal experience limited my skill to make good time, so I ended up being 40 minutes late. The day continued per usual. I had class, then I ate with my friends, chilled for a while, and then it was time to go back home. I thought it would be a good idea to go home by taking the other path Google had available. At the beginning, everything seemed perfect. I had my phone charged, Google Maps was working, and the weather was just marvelous, which is a rarity in England. My phone was at 40% battery, but I reckon it was enough for the rest of the way. As I started to ride, I saw the streets were highly which came as a surprise, because everyone there told me Brighton was a flat city. However, I didn't give up and continued braving the difficult roads. As the time passed, I was feeling more and more agitated and concerned because I didn't know where I was and my phone was running out of battery. For a moment, I stopped and thought maybe it would be a better idea to go back and take the path I already knew. Nevertheless, I choose to keep going and have faith in myself and Google Maps. Suddenly, I found myself at dead end, and Google Maps showed me that the only way to get to my house was going through the enormous forest. At that point, I freaked out. I started feeling my heart pounding. As soon as I was trying to find another way to go home, my phone ran out of battery, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. I started crying like a baby in the middle of nowhere because I was in a city I knew nothing about and I could not communicate with people because my English at that point of my life was a complete disaster. As a small kid would do when lost, I just sat on the sidewalk and cried for 10 minutes, but for me it felt like an eternity. While I was doing this, I pondered how could solve such a monstrous obstacle. First, I thought it was a good idea to knock on a door and ask for help. However, I'm such an introvert person that I couldn't bring myself to do it. Then I thought maybe if I go all the way back, maybe I would make it to the school and could take a bus. But the thought of getting even more lost terrified me. So my third option was to find a kind English soul to help me out of this dilemma, so I could ask for directions, and so I did. After a while, I saw a young man in a delivery truck sleeping inside, so I knocked the window and tried to explain him that I was lost and I needed help. But he didn't understand what I was saying, so he just ignored me. I felt humiliated because I couldn't talk with people, especially in this time of crisis. A few meters away, I saw a man in his car, so I approached him and asked for help. He told me I was far from my house and to go back I had to go to the main street. When he explained that of action to me, I was so relieved, but my fear became a reality. I found myself lost again. I was just about to break down into my abyss of my fearful imagination, when my Prince Charming came along and saw me in tears. He immediately asked me if he could help me, and replied immediately with an enthusiastic "Yes, please." Then he showed me what the road I had to take, and with great caution I followed. Eventually, I got onto the main street, and I had to ride for almost an hour to get home. Although at the time this felt like it was the lowest point of my life, I realized that this experience showed me that no matter how lost you feel or how hopeless you are, you must remain calm and patient. And remember, there is always someone that is going to help you to find your way.